Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars, Whiskey, and Golf. Today I wanted to do a quick review for you of Chattanooga Whiskey 111. So Chattanooga Whiskey, or Chattanooga Distillery, out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, obviously, kind of flies under the radar. You don't hear much about Chattanooga. Certainly, compared to another distillery in Tennessee called Jack Daniels, you certainly don't hear anything about Chattanooga compared to Jack Daniels. However, Chattanooga is different than Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels markets itself as a Tennessee whiskey, as you know, and goes through the Lincoln County process, which is the charcoal mellowing process. Chattanooga markets itself as a bourbon and not a Tennessee whiskey, and it does not go through the Lincoln County process, so it's not charcoal mellowed. So that right off the bat is a distinction between this whiskey and, say, a Jack Daniels. So, Chattanooga whiskey, I don't actually have a lot of experience with it. I heard good things about the 111, so I figured, hey, I'm going to give it a try. I found a bottle in my local store for $45, so it's not, a budget breaker by any stretch of the imagination. It's a fairly priced whiskey, especially considering that it's essentially at cask strength. So what is this whiskey? So first of all, the thing that shocked me about it is that on the bottle, it only states that it's aged at least 2 years. So we're not talking about a whiskey that's been sitting in the barrel for a really long time. And so I was kind of suspect. I'm like, geez, 2, maybe 3-year-old whiskey at 111 proof. I was really worried that it would drink really, really hot and really, really young and just wouldn't be refined in any way, shape, or form. Man, was I wrong. So, I've been trying to figure out how Chattanooga has gotten a whiskey that's only aged probably somewhere between 2 and 3 years old to taste this fantastic. And so I started delving into the mash bill of this whiskey. So we've got predominantly yellow corn, and then after that we've got malted rye. That's not too weird. But after that we've got caramel malted barley and honey malted barley. So basically on the barley side of the house in the mash bill, after it has been malted, which means it's beginning to germinate, they're then toasting that barley, and they're doing that to bring out the sugars. So you've got like a caramelized malted barley, and then the other malted barley is honeyed. So it's beginning to germinate, and then they're actually adding honey to that barley. So that's pretty unusual, getting caramel malted barley and honey malted barley. But I think it's a stroke of genius, because that is bringing out all sorts of sugars and sweetness and flavors that this whiskey has not had time to develop in the barrel. So they've done kind of an amazing thing here with the mash bill to develop incredible flavors. So that's a little bit about Chattanooga, the mash bill, and how it's made. So let's get into the nosing and the tasting. Wow. I mean, when you get into the nose of Chattanooga 111, I think you're going to be blown away. It's sweet. There's definitely dark fruit going on, like raisin, sweet raisin, caramel, maybe a little apple, something like that, which, it's all very vague. What I'm finding in the nose with Chattanooga 111 is that all of the aromas kind of come together really well. Nothing is really jutting out. So it's a little bit difficult to pull out some of the notes because of how well balanced the nose is. But definitely raisin, brown sugar, caramel, maybe a little bit of apple, something like that. And I almost get, and this is going to sound a little strange and off-putting, but believe me, it's not. I almost get a little bit of almost like a barbecue sauce. And, I'm not smelling barbecue sauce per se, but the sweetness and the hot. You get a little bit of sweet, a little bit of tang, and a little bit of heat like you would get with a good barbecue sauce. I I, I love the nose on this whiskey. Let's give it a taste. I'm in love with this whiskey. It's great. Up front, dark sweetness, raisin, date, maybe something like that. Um, as it moves, into your back palate or your mid to your back palate, you continue to get spice. Like I said, almost like a barbecue sauce that is sweet and tangy and a little bit hot. So you get a little bit of like almost like maybe peppery quality here. This for this whiskey to be only 2 to 3 years old is honestly a fantastic achievement for Chattanooga. I think that at $45, this has got to be one of the biggest sleeper bourbons out there. It's absolutely delicious. The aromas are fantastic. The palate is great. Coats the mouth really well. A little oily. Yeah. This is a run out to the store and get yourself a bottle. I hate to compare it to Jack Daniels because I don't want people to think that just because it's made in Tennessee, you have to compare it to Jack Daniels. But for some reason, I do find similarities. Even though Jack Daniels has gone through that Lincoln County process and Chattanooga does not use that, I find some similarities. And that's probably because Jack Daniels is sweet and Chattanooga has quite a bit of sweetness as well. I keep coming back to this and saying it's almost like a barbecue sauce. And again, I don't want people to feel like, well, I don't want to drink barbecue sauce. No, it's just because it's got a little sweetness. It's got a little bit of tanginess, a little bit of spiciness to it. So if you combine all of those kind of general flavors, which is very common in a barbecue sauce, it's almost like reminiscent of that. So anyway, Chattanooga, big thumbs up on the 111, $45. It's, I would say, generally readily available. It's one of those whiskeys that I've seen on shelves, passed by it 50 times, never picked it up, finally decided to. Super glad I did. Hope you'll think about liking and subscribing, and we'll see you next time with another whiskey review. But for now, I'll leave you with Chattanooga 111. Huge buy. Take care, guys. Bye.